Hi guys, welcome back to Style with Substance and welcome to this Sunday's video, which is aptly entitled How to Become an Overnight Success. Now, this video is inspired by this book by Maria Hatzestefani, who is the CEO and founder of Rodial and wrote this remarkable book all about how to make it in business. And she raises a few good points in the book which I kind of wanted to talk through today, all about success and the journey to and the path to success and what it takes to actually make it, whatever your chosen path or dream or goal is in life. So if you want to hear my thoughts on the book and also my thoughts on success and whether it can be overnight, then please keep watching. So first of all, I want to start by giving a really honest and open review of this book. And I think if you have read it or if you've seen it in stores, then you know that it is very provocatively titled. If you read on the cover of the book, How to Be an Overnight Success, you're going to think that the book is going to supposedly spill all the juicy secrets about becoming successful and how to do it instantly. And I think in the world we live in today, instant gratification is definitely something that a lot of us are exposed to, and I think a lot of people are almost victims or fall victims to, in terms of believing that everything that is good for you should come in an instant just like that. And I don't think that that's how the world works. And I think that the way in which she's titled this book is really clever because it draws you in as a potential reader and it makes you want to find out what she's really talking about, or is there a secret to success or instant success? So love the title. As much as it's a bit on YouTube, I guess we'd call it clickbaity, it is exactly what a book title needs to be. Also, as far as book covers go, it is so aesthetically pleasing. It's very Instagram friendly, and I think she was talking somewhere, I don't know where I saw it, maybe it was on her Twitter or in an interview or something like that. She was talking about how she loved that people were using it a lot in flat lays, and it just has that kind of a visual appeal where you can put it in a backdrop and it really stands out. I love the illustration. It reminds me of, there's an illustrator on Instagram who does loads of like high-end illustrations for big brands or big luxury brands. I'll put her Instagram handle here if I find her name. I love that. It's black and white. It's got a figure of a woman with a coffee in one hand, a designer handbag in the other, heels on, sunglasses on. She looks like she's ready to conquer the world. And it's all about how to make it in business. What I loved about this book, and you should probably know, is that I read it from cover to cover in one night. So it looks pretty thick, but it is hardback, and the pages themselves are pretty, or the paper quality is quite thick. Actual pages of content, you have 191. And then the rest of the back is like a glossary and things like that, and acknowledgements and other stuff, and some of her other book recommendations. So it's not long, you can get it through it in one sitting, but I think what made it easy for me to do that is how easy it is to read and how much of an engaging and compelling story she has to tell. If you are at all interested in the beauty industry or the skincare industry, then this will be a particularly good read for you. Basically, the whole premise of the book is her discussing her journey to becoming a successful business owner in the beauty and skincare industry, and all the challenges she went through, the highs and lows that she faced, the steps that she had to take to build her business from the ground up, literally from scratch. And why I particularly identified with it is because of her beginning. So as the story begins, she was somebody who was very interested in fashion and was also had like an entrepreneurial spirit. And she actually started her career in the corporate world. I think it was in the finance industry, and she was sort of drawn in by the very professional looking appeal, you know, the snazzy suits, the luxury lifestyle, you know, jetting from here to there. And I think what she then went on to realise is that what comes with that is very long working hours, very minimal work-life balance, a very male-dominated and very testosterone-fueled environment, which I've definitely experienced working in the corporate world. In the story, she kind of talks to you about a big change that happened which forced her to reconsider her options and really stop and think about what she wanted from her life. And that is basically how she came to found Rodial, which is the skincare company that she is the founder and CEO of, and built it up into this like huge business. She wasn't necessarily an expert in business or your typical entrepreneur, and I think I like that she kind of debunked the myth of the fact that to be an entrepreneur you have to be a high school dropout, or you have to have, you know, started your own business by the time you were in preschool or secondary school. She saw herself kind of going into employment, full-time employment, working for somebody else and climbing up the corporate ladder that way, and then somehow ended up starting off this big beauty and skincare brand. So the story is really relatable for the everyday woman or man who wants to start a business but already works and kind of already has an income and that safety net almost. So I really like that about it. But I think what she touched on, and I'm trying to give a review without giving away too much of the story, if you know what I mean. But what she touches on is the elements that go into being successful. She talks a lot about daily struggle. So I think this is more in relation to being an entrepreneur and finding success. And I think there's a diagram that I always see online and everywhere about what people think the journey to success looks like and what the journey to success actually looks like. As you'll see, it's not one single well navigated and mapped out path. It's like loads of different lines. You know, you kind of get to different points, you start again, you go up, you go down, you go left, right, sideways, basically illustrating the fact that it's not an easy path to being successful. And even when you do get to the point where you're successful, there is another level up. Or if you're somebody who is very driven, you're not going to stop there. So I think success is defined as different things at different points in our lives. So when we are, I guess if you're studying, or if you're at university, or if you are working part-time, success for you might be landing a full-time job in the industry or in the career that you really, really have always dreamed about. Whereas once you've been working for 5 to 10 years, success for you might be all about being able to take an idea that you've always had and turn it into a really successful or lucrative business. And once you've done that, success for you might be wanting to start a family and settle down and travel. And success is going to be different things for you at different points in your life, I feel. And if you are a person who has goals, who has ambition, and you've got drive, you're always going to hit your milestones and then look for the next best thing to do. So never think that once you reach a certain point that joy and the elation lasts for very long. It does. It feels amazing to hit a goal and to achieve something that you've always wanted to achieve, but that lasts momentarily, and then you're almost then looking for the next thing. So success is a struggle. You're going to face obstacles, you're going to face challenges, you're going to be tested as a person. And I think a lot of people who are successful always talk about the mental struggle being the most difficult and how much they have to tell themselves not to quit and to keep at it. And I think the people who are successful are the people who have stuck at it even when they shouldn't have, and even when everybody is telling them that it's never going to work. So it's a struggle, and I think most of all it's an internal struggle, and that's the hardest part about it, because as much as we can control our outside influences, it's sometimes hard to control the voices inside of you, or how you feel, your self-esteem. That can be really hard. She talks about taking risks and leveraging people who are smarter than her. Now, I think if you are going to be successful, if you are going to achieve anything great in life, you have to be or become very comfortable with taking risks. Now, I started off by saying you have to be someone who's comfortable with taking risks, but I don't know if anybody truly starts out like that wholeheartedly. I think that we all have some risks that we're completely afraid of taking, but you have to become comfortable with taking risks. And I say that because you might be somebody who's completely risk averse, who is very much enjoying a comfort zone and wanting to stay in that. But sometimes it just takes one thing to change in your life that makes you realise that actually all the things that I was banking on are not for certain, so why not take a risk? And I think that in my life personally, I've noticed that where I have taken a big risk or where I have done something outside of the norm, it has completely paid off. And even if a risk doesn't necessarily pay off in the way that you think it will, later on down the line, you will realise, actually, this was setting me up for X. So I think you have to be comfortable with taking risks, but you also have to be comfortable with putting your ego to one side. She talks a lot about when her business grew, she was able to take on staff, basically. And she talks about hiring people who are smarter than you, because as much as we like to think that we are pretty multifaceted, or if you're an entrepreneur, you probably like to think that you're a jack of all trades, you can do a bit of this and do a bit of that. There are certain things that you are better at doing, and those are the things that you should focus your time on. And there are other people that are better at doing the things that you shouldn't be focusing your time on, and you should basically bring those people in to do those things. It's all about the people that you surround yourself with as far as building a business. And I've never built a business myself. I'm self-employed, but I still work in an office environment. But when it comes to actually having a physical business, the team that you build around you is crucial to your success or your failure. And if you've got people who don't have the same vision as you, or who don't have the same work ethic as you, things get a little bit tricky. Often, if you don't have people who stretch you and people who make you think outside of the box and outside of your normal sort of realm of thinking, then you're kind of missing out on opportunities to grow and better yourselves. And if your success point is not a business, let's say for example it's just, I don't know, being more healthy or starting a family, then I think how you can translate that into those things is just about who you surround yourself with. I always read that your network is your net worth, basically. Who you surround yourself with and who you associate with on a daily basis is essentially who you're level with and who your life will match up to. So if you want to elevate yourself, you need to elevate the people who you surround yourself with. And a lot of the time, it's sometimes hard to make contacts who are very successful or who might be killing it in the industry that you want to be killing it in. And that is why I read books, because often you find the experts in a certain field put all their information and all their knowledge into a book, and that's the easiest way to access what's in their head. So then she talks a lot about creating a buzz and what she calls the Kardashian factor. I think we can all agree that the Kardashians know how to create a buzz, and whether that is always for the right reasons or the wrong reasons aside, they know how to capture the media's attention. And I think that is important in becoming successful. You have to do something that's going to capture people, it's going to make people stop and think and pay attention to what it is that you're doing or what it is that you have to offer. And I think a lot of that buzz, people often think it comes from being inauthentic or being fake or doing something crazy and outrageous. And for everybody, and for most people, that is not something that we're comfortable with doing. And for me, I think what creates a buzz is when something is really genuine and something is really different. And I think you can create a buzz by just being your authentic self, because people tend to glamorize people who are really unique and really different, and we're all really unique and really different. So whatever it is about you that is unique or that you think is a bit wacky or a bit out there, just embrace it and bring it to the forefront. But creating a buzz is also about knowing how to capitalize on trends and timing and what is current, what people are talking about. So if you can find a way to connect something that's really genuine and something that's really authentic with something that's really like booming, or create something that's a really big talking point, then that is often a good way to kind of finding success. And I think the Kardashians did that by just being themselves, a normal everyday family living their lives just in front of millions of TV viewers. And there's nothing about the Kardashians that's incredibly remarkable, or in the beginning there wasn't anyway. They were just a normal family being themselves on TV, but at the time it was kind of new. Reality TV was new, and I think their family dynamic was different to some of the ones that we had started to see and that is literally it. And I think they capitalized on opportunities that came towards them and people that they had access to, and they ran with it. And that is why they can kind of demand that pull, that attention, because they just know how to capitalize being in the spotlight. For me, it's just about being your authentic self and sharing that. Then she talks about collaboration and building your personal brand. So collaboration, if you guys, you're familiar with YouTube, you'll know that a lot of well-known YouTubers or YouTubers on the come up collaborate with each other as a way of tapping into an audience that they might not normally have access to. And I think that it's a great way to expose yourself to loads of different people, but also a great way to grow. And I think if you are willing to work with other people and you're willing to make connections and find things that you have in common with other people or other businesses, if the business is your thing, then that's a great way to just get the word out there, basically. And I think before you think about collaborating or working with other people and things like that, I think you have to have a really strong sense of what your brand is, whether that's a personal brand, a business brand. You just have to have a strong sense of what that is. And I think the easiest way to define your brand if you're just starting out is, a lot of the time, it comes from what do you believe in, or what do you want people to feel when they interact with your brand. And a lot of your brand will involve elements of yourself, elements of the things that you enjoy or things that you're passionate about, and also elements of things that you want to achieve. So if you combine all of those things, you kind of have the starting points for what your brand is. And you're always going to want to refine that as you go along if that doesn't match where you are. Sometimes you're going to want to completely rebrand and change everything about what you're about. Once you have a strong sense of what your personal or business brand is, then that is a good time to start seeking collaborations, because at that point you're looking to collaborate with people who complement your brand, whether that's because they are the exact opposite and would bring an interesting perspective for your audience or for their audience, or whether that is because they're very similar to you. You can kind of do it either way. And then the final thing she talks about is staying motivated and just making it happen. I think this is where a lot of businesses and a lot of people fall down, because motivation isn't always going to be there. At points, and a lot of the time it's right at the beginning, you're going to feel so passionate, so driven, so buzzed about it. And then there are going to be days where you're just like, I just want to quit and I want to sack it all in. And it's about being as driven or pushing yourself on the days where you feel extremely motivated and extremely driven, but also on the days where you feel like you just want to give up. She talks about her ways that she uses to stay motivated. But for me, staying motivated is about coming back into myself and almost reflecting. Not too much though, because overthinking is also a big danger. But it's about reminding yourself why you're doing it in the first place. There's no such thing as an overnight success, but often the people who are looked at as being overnight successes are the people who have grinded and worked so hard, often behind the scenes. And then it almost appears as if they just came out of nowhere. But I've rambled on for long enough. That is my honest review of Maria Hazastefani's book, How to Be an Overnight Success, Making It in Business. Love this book. I would absolutely recommend it. In fact, I'll link it in the description box below for you guys. And if you want to find out some of my other book recommendations, I'm now reading Mastery by Robert Greene, so there will definitely be a review coming on that. And there will probably be a lot more book reviews, because I am really getting into reading even more than I already was, and I want to kind of bring more of that to my channel, so just to bring a bit of variety, a bit more substance. I hope you guys have enjoyed that. Hopefully the video hasn't been too long for you, but what I wanted to do was not only give you my thoughts on the book, but kind of apply it to real life and everyday life. And I think that's what I'll be doing with these reviews moving forward, because that is something that I would like to see when I'm about to purchase a book. So hopefully this is helpful. Anyway, I will see you guys in my next video. I don't know when that will be going up, because this coming week is likely to be quite a busy one. But click the bell next to my channel icon, and then you'll be notified whenever I upload, so that you never miss a video. And also, if you come and follow me on Instagram, Twitter and Snapchat, then you'll be able to see whenever I upload, because I always post on there too. Otherwise, I hope you guys have a lovely rest of your Sunday and a great week ahead. See you in the next video. Bye!